Have you ever felt the sharp pang of betrayal? That quiet fracture in a bond you thought unbreakable? It's a wound that lingers, whispering doubts about every promise and alliance. In this exploration, we draw from Machiavelli's razor-sharp realism, where trust is a calculated risk in a world driven by self-interest and power plays. He warns that blind faith invites deception, turning vulnerability into a weapon against you. Yet, the Stoics offer a balm of wisdom. Through voices like Epictetus and Seneca, they teach us to build an inner fortress, unmoved by others' fickle loyalties. Betrayal isn't a defeat, but a lesson in detachment, urging us to anchor peace within ourselves. Join me as we unravel these timeless insights, transforming the sting of mistrust into empowered clarity. If you've navigated the shadows of broken trust, this journey will equip you to rise stronger, wiser, and unshakable. Let's begin. 1. The illusion of unconditional trust. We grow up surrounded by enchanting stories of unbreakable bonds, tales that paint trust as a sacred, eternal force. From childhood fables of loyal companions who face dragons together, to romantic epics where lovers vow forever against all odds. These narratives weave a comforting web. They promise that true connections endure, untouched by time, hardship, or hidden motifs. Such ideals offer solace in a chaotic world, a beacon of hope that someone, somewhere, will stand by us simply because our souls align. But what if this vision is more mirage than reality? Machiavelli, with his unflinching gaze on human nature, would call it a dangerous delusion. He saw trust not as a gift of the heart, but as a tool in the arsenal of power, extended only when it serves a purpose. In The Prince, Machiavelli dissects the fragility of alliances. He advises rulers to trust sparingly, for men are quick to pledge loyalty when the sun shines, but scatter like leaves in a storm. He reminds us that people are driven by self-interest, their affections shifting with the winds of advantage. To place unconditional trust in another is to hand them the keys to your downfall, inviting them to exploit your openness. Imagine a leader who believes in the unwavering fidelity of his advisors, only to find daggers in the dark when his power wanes. This is no mere cautionary tale. It is the raw truth of history, repeated across empires and eras. The Stoics, those ancient pillars of inner strength, align with this view through a lens of serene acceptance. Epictetus, the former slave turned philosopher, taught that we err when we base our happiness on what lies beyond our control. Others' actions, their loyalties, their truths, these are not ours to command. To expect unconditional trust is to chain our peace to the unpredictable whims of human behavior. Seneca echoes this in his letters, urging us to examine our attachments closely. Why cling to the illusion that someone will always act in our favor? Nature itself is impartial, and humans, as part of it, follow suit, prioritizing survival over sentiment. Consider everyday life, where this illusion plays out in subtle betrayals. You confide in a close friend during a vulnerable moment, sharing dreams and fears, believing in the sanctity of your bond. Months later, when you need support amid a personal crisis, their responses grow sparse, excuses pile up, and silence replaces solidarity. Was the friendship ever rooted in genuine care? Or was it a convenient exchange? Your energy boosting their ego, your presence filling their voids. Machiavelli would nod, knowingly. Trust flourishes in mutual benefit, wilting when the scales tip. The Stoic response: do not rage or despair. Observe and learn. This revelation strips away the fantasy, revealing the contract beneath the camaraderie. Yet, dismantling this illusion does not mean embracing isolation. It invites a wiser approach: trust with discernment. Start small, offering fragments of vulnerability and watching how they are handled. Does the other reciprocate with actions, not just words? In professional realms, this might mean verifying a colleague's promises through consistent delivery before entrusting them with critical tasks. In personal ties, it could involve noting who shows up during your lows, not just your highs. Machiavelli's pragmatism here is a guide. Form alliances based on observed reliability, not assumed goodness. He warns against naivety, for the world rewards the vigilant, not the idealistic. Stoicism adds depth by emphasizing self-reliance. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflects on the impermanence of all things, including relationships. By cultivating an inner citadel, a mind fortified against external shocks, you render betrayal powerless. When trust shatters, it becomes a teacher, not a tormentor. Ask yourself, what did this reveal about my expectations? How can I adjust to align with reality? This shift transforms pain into progress, turning the sting of disillusionment into a forge for resilience. Of course, rare exceptions exist, those profound connections where trust defies logic, enduring without strings. A lifelong friend who stands by you through ruin, not for gain, but from a deep-seated virtue. Machiavelli might view such bonds skeptically, as anomalies in a self-serving world. But even he acknowledged that true loyalty, though scarce, can emerge from shared trials. The Stoics celebrate these as bonuses, not necessities. They remind us not to build our foundations on them. Expecting unconditional trust from all is folly. Recognizing its rarity preserves your equilibrium. In embracing this truth, you gain liberation. No longer do you wander blindly into webs of deceit, hoping for purity where pragmatism reigns. Instead, you navigate with eyes wide, heart guarded yet open to genuine sparks. Betrayal, when it comes, loses its venom. It becomes a signal to recalibrate, to strengthen your core. Machiavelli's realism sharpens your strategy. Stoicism polishes your soul. Together, they whisper, trust is not forbidden. But unconditional trust is a myth that courts sorrow. Step beyond the illusion and discover a world where clarity reigns, empowering you to forge bonds that serve, rather than enslave. This perspective demands courage, for it requires facing uncomfortable realities. Yet, in doing so, you honor yourself with honesty. The next time doubt creeps in after a perceived slight, pause and reflect. Was my trust earned, or freely given in hope? Adjust accordingly, and watch your interactions evolve from fragile dreams to sturdy realities. In the end, the illusion of unconditional trust fades. It is replaced by the quiet power of informed choice, a path to true freedom in a tangled web of human connections. To manipulation's subtle web in relationships. In the quiet undercurrents of every relationship, a subtle dance unfolds, one where influence weaves through words, gestures, and silences like threads in an invisible web. This is manipulation. Not always the dramatic scheming of villains, but often a gentle nudge, a calculated pause, or a timely compliment designed to steer outcomes. Machiavelli recognized this as the essence of human interaction, a necessary art in a world where direct power can falter. He viewed manipulation not as moral failing, but as strategic wisdom. The prince who masters it navigates alliances without brute force, shaping loyalties through perception and persuasion. Consider how it appears in everyday bonds. A friend shares your secrets just enough to bond, but later uses that intimacy to sway your decisions, perhaps encouraging a choice that benefits them more than you. Or in romance, a partner offers affection precisely when tensions rise, diffusing conflict not from pure care, but to maintain control and avoid discomfort. Machiavelli would describe this as the fox's cunning complementing the lion's strength, subtle maneuvers that preserve harmony on the surface while advancing hidden agendas. He warned in his writings that ignoring these dynamics leaves one vulnerable, a pawn in another's game rather than a player. The Stoics, with their emphasis on clarity and self-mastery, approach this web with calm detachment. Epictetus taught that we cannot control others' intentions, only our responses to them. Manipulation thrives in blindness. It loses grip when we observe it without emotion. Marcus Aurelius, in his personal reflections, urged examining motives behind actions. Why does this kindness arrive now? What unspoken expectation lingers? By questioning, we untangle the threads, turning potential entrapment into enlightenment. Stoicism does not condemn the manipulator. It accepts human nature's flaws and focuses on fortifying the self against them. This subtle web extends into modern life, amplified by digital connections. Social media likes and comments often mask bids for influence. A colleague praises your work publicly to curry favor for their project, or a family member guilts you into obligations through passive remarks. These are not overt deceptions, but layered influences, building leverage over time. Machiavelli's insight here is timeless. Power in relationships flows to those who understand and employ these tactics wisely. He advised rulers to use manipulation sparingly, with restraint, to avoid breeding resentment that could backfire. In personal ties, this means recognizing when you're being guided. Perhaps a friend distances themselves slightly, prompting you to chase validation, thereby strengthening their hold. Yet, awareness brings power. The Stoic practice of daily reflection helps, at day's end, review interactions. Was that advice truly altruistic? Or did it align suspiciously with the giver's interests? Seneca recommended living as if under constant scrutiny, not to paranoia, but to cultivate virtue amid intrigue. When you spot manipulation, respond with equanimity, neither confront nor comply blindly. Instead, redirect, express gratitude while asserting boundaries, or withdraw energy from the dynamic. This detachment echoes Machiavelli's counsel to feign ignorance at times, gathering information before acting. Examples abound in history and law. Machiavelli drew from Renaissance courts, where flattery masked ambition, advisors whispering suggestions that served their rise. A Stoic like Seneca, navigating Nero's treacherous palace, survived by discerning flattery from truth, using philosophy to remain unshaken. In today's workplaces, A boss might dangle promotions to extract extra effort, manipulating ambition. Recognizing this web allows you to engage without illusion, perform well. Boot. Diversify your security. Never tie your worth to their approval. The danger lies in denial. Believing all relationships are pure invites deeper wounds when the web tightens. Machiavelli's realism strips away romance. Bonds are negotiations. Influence is inevitable. Stoicism softens this with purpose. Use the knowledge for growth. Build relationships on transparency where possible. Communicate expectations openly to minimize hidden pulls. When manipulation persists, evaluate. Does this connection enrich or drain? Prune accordingly, as a gardener tends vines. Ultimately, mastering this subtle web fosters resilience. You learn to manipulate circumstances ethically, perhaps influencing a positive outcome for mutual good, while guarding against exploitation. Machiavelli would approve of this balance. Be both fox and lion, cunning yet strong. The Stoics add inner peace. Let others weave their threads, but ensure your core remains untouchable. Betrayal through manipulation then becomes a mere lesson, not a shattering blow. In embracing this truth, you evolve, no longer ensnared by unseen forces. You move with intention, fostering ties that withstand scrutiny. Trust emerges not naively, but earned through observed integrity. The web exists, but with eyes open, you traverse it freely, turning potential traps into pathways of wisdom. This is the art of relationships, not avoidance of manipulation, but transcendence through understanding. 3. Power dynamics and the erosion of loyalty. At the core of every human connection pulses an unseen force, power. It shapes interactions like gravity shapes orbits, dictating who leads, who follows, and when loyalties fray. Machiavelli laid this bare in his observations of princes and states. He declared that relationships are not built on equality or affection alone, but on hierarchies of influence. Loyalty, he argued, clings to those who hold advantage, be it wealth, status, charisma, or strength, and erodes swiftly when that power diminishes. In a world of shifting sands, expecting steadfast devotion without it is to court inevitable disappointment. Machiavelli's realism stems from history's harsh lessons. Rulers who rose through cunning alliances often watched those same bonds dissolve in defeat. He wrote that men profess eternal fidelity when fortunes favor, but abandon ship at the first sign of storm. This erosion is not born of pure malice, but instinct. People align with power because it offers protection, opportunity, or elevation. A general admired for victories commands unwavering troops. Strip him of command, and whispers of doubt turn to desertion. In personal spheres, it's the same. A friend drawn to your success may drift when your light dims, not from hatred, but recalibrated self-interest. The Stoics, ever focused on inner equilibrium, view this dynamic through a prism of acceptance. Epictetus emphasized that external elements, like others' allegiance, lie beyond our control. To base your sense of security on loyalty is to build on quicksand. Marcus Aurelius reflected in his journals that power's impermanence mirrors life's transience. Empires fall, fortunes reverse, and with them, human attachments. Rather than resent the erosion, The Stoic observes it calmly, using it to cultivate detachment. Why mourn the loss of fair-weather companions? Their departure reveals the true landscape, freeing you from illusions. In modern contexts, this plays out vividly. Consider workplace dynamics. A rising executive garners mentors and allies. Their counsel flows freely amid promotions. But a setback, a failed project or demotion, and those voices fade, replaced by distance or criticism. Not betrayal in the dramatic sense, but a natural realignment to perceived strength. In friendships, power manifests subtly. Your social influence draws invitations and confidences. Lose it through hardship, and calls go unanswered. Machiavelli would advise anticipating this. Forge ties with an eye to mutual leverage, not blind trust. He urged leaders to maintain power's appearance, even in weakness, to stem the tide of disloyalty. Stoicism offers tools for resilience amid this erosion. Seneca counseled focusing on virtue over validation. True worth comes from within, not others' acclaim. When loyalty wanes, reflect. What power did I hold that attracted them? How can I reclaim it independently? This mindset transforms loss into growth. Instead of chasing faded bonds, invest in self-mastery. Hone skills, build knowledge, nurture independence. Power, in Stoic terms, is not dominance over people, but sovereignty over your reactions. Betrayal by erosion becomes a signal to fortify your core, ensuring no external shift can topple you. Yet, power dynamics are not always overt. They simmer in everyday exchanges. A conversation where one defers to another's opinion, not from agreement but perceived authority. Or in families, where influence sways decisions subtly. Loyalty conditional on maintaining the status quo. Machiavelli's gift is exposing these currents. Recognize them, and you navigate rather than drown. He didn't advocate ruthless exploitation, but prudent awareness. Use power ethically to sustain alliances. Reward loyalty visibly to encourage it. Exceptions exist. Rare loyalties that persist beyond power's ebb. A companion who stays through your fall, offering presence without gain. Machiavelli might attribute this to shared history or calculated long-term benefit, but even he conceded genuine bonds in exceptional souls. The Stoics cherish these as serendipities, not expectations. Treat them as gifts, but never dependencies. Anchor in self-sufficiency, and such connections enhance without defining you. Embracing this truth liberates. No longer shocked by loyalty's erosion, you anticipate it, preparing mentally like a Stoic facing fate. Machiavelli's strategy: rebuild power swiftly, perhaps through new alliances or demonstrated resilience. Blend this with Stoic calm. Let go of resentment. View the departed as teachers exposing vulnerabilities. In doing so, you rise above the dynamics. Power becomes a tool you wield, not a force that controls you. Ultimately, understanding power's role in loyalty fosters wisdom. Relationships endure not despite these forces, but because of balanced exchanges. Seek ties where influence flows equitably, and when erosion hits, respond with grace. This is the path to unshakable peace. Machiavelli sharpens your vigilance. Stoicism polishes your endurance. Step into the arena aware, and turn potential losses into enduring strength. 4. Strategies for resilience amid betrayal. In the wake of betrayal's sharp edge, Resilience emerges not as a shield forged in anger, but as a quiet fortress built from wisdom. Machiavelli and the Stoics offer practical strategies to navigate this terrain, transforming wounds into wellsprings of strength rather than succumbing to bitterness. We learn to anticipate, adapt, and thrive amid human frailties. This is not about closing off the heart, but arming the mind with tools that turn deception into self-mastery. Machiavelli, ever the strategist, viewed betrayal as an inevitable byproduct of power's flux. In his counsel to princes, he emphasized preparation over reaction. Foresee the shifts in loyalty by maintaining a vigilant posture. One key strategy is diversification. Never rely on a single alliance. Spread your influences like a web, cultivating multiple connections so that the loss of one does not topple your structure. He advised rulers to reward loyalty visibly while subtly testing it, perhaps through small challenges that reveal true colors without overt conflict. In modern terms, this might mean nurturing a broad network in your career or social circle, where no one person holds undue sway over your opportunities or emotions. The Stoics complement this with inward focus, teaching that resilience stems from controlling what you can, your perceptions and responses. Epictetus urged reframing betrayal as an external event, powerless unless you grant it entry to your soul. A foundational practice is daily reflection. End each day journaling the day's interactions, noting subtle signs of manipulation or power imbalances. Ask, what expectations did I hold that were unmet? How can I adjust my stance? This habit, drawn from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, builds mental agility, turning hindsight into foresight. Another Stoic tool is the premeditation of evils, or premeditatio malorum. Visualize potential betrayals before they occur. Imagine a trusted colleague claiming your idea, or a friend withdrawing support in crisis. By mentally rehearsing these scenarios, you desensitize yourself to their sting, much like an athlete trains for pain. Machiavelli would approve, as it aligns with his emphasis on contingency planning. Always have an exit strategy. Whether it's alternative mentors in professional life or emotional reserves in personal bonds, boundaries form a crucial pillar in this resilience framework. Machiavelli warned against overexposure. Reveal vulnerabilities selectively, like a general sharing maps only with proven scouts. Set clear limits early. Communicate expectations in relationships, such as mutual reciprocity, and enforce them calmly when breached. The Stoics add ethical depth. Seneca advised acting with virtue regardless of others' conduct. Respond to betrayal not with vengeance, but indifference. Withdraw without drama, preserving your dignity. This detachment prevents emotional drain, allowing energy for self-growth. In practice, blend these philosophies through small, actionable steps. After a betrayal, pause before reacting. Machiavelli's fox-like cunning suggests gathering information first, perhaps observing the betrayer's next moves to understand their motives. Then, apply Stoic acceptance. Acknowledge the hurt, but release it through exercise, meditation, or nature walks. As these ground you in the present, rebuild by seeking new horizons. Join communities or pursuits that align with your values, diluting the impact of lost ties. Technology amplifies betrayals today, with ghosting and digital disloyalty rampant. Counter this by curating your online presence mindfully. Share selectively, and use privacy settings as modern battlements. Machiavelli might liken social media to a public square, perform strength there, but keep core strategies private. Stoicism encourages limiting exposure to digital noise. Designate tech-free times to foster inner dialogue, reducing dependency on virtual validations. Forgiveness, too, has a place, not as naivety, but strategic release. Machiavelli saw grudges as burdens that weaken resolve. Let go to free resources for advancement. The Stoics frame it as compassion for human imperfection, including your own. Forgive without forgetting. Note the lesson, perhaps categorizing people into tiers. Acquaintances for surface exchanges. Inner circle for deeper trust earned over time. Ultimately, these strategies culminate in self-sufficiency, the pinnacle of resilience. Machiavelli's ideal prince stands alone, if needed, commanding respect through demonstrated capability. The Stoics echo this with amor fati, love of fate. Embracing betrayals as catalysts for evolution, emerge not scarred, but sculpted, por suas skills, knowledge, and passions that render you indispensable to yourself. When loyalty erodes again, you'll stand unshaken, viewing it as confirmation of your growth rather than a setback. This path demands discipline, but yields profound freedom. No longer a victim of illusions, you become the architect of your narrative. Betrayal, a destroyer, turns teacher, guiding you toward wiser choices, stronger bonds, and an unbreakable core. Machiavelli sharpens your tactics. Stoicism illuminates your spirit. Together, they whisper, rise not in spite of betrayal, but because of it. In this resilience lies true power, the kind no external force can erode. As we conclude this dive into trust's treacherous waters, remember, Machiavelli's keen eye exposes betrayal as power's shadow, while Stoicism arms us with unbreakable inner resolve. Blind faith crumbles under self-interest, but armed with discernment, we rise above the debris. Let illusions shatter. In their place, build a life of vigilant wisdom, where relationships enhance rather than define you. Betrayal tests, but does not break the prepared soul. Embrace clarity, detach from expectations, and forge ahead unyielding. If these truths resonate, subscribe for more blends of ancient insight and modern grit. Comment below. How has rethinking trust empowered you? Your voice could inspire others. Until next time, navigate wisely. The real strength lies in your steadfast core,